Tashilale to everybody. And first of all, before starting, I would like to sincerely say thank you to all those who have requested for this particular teaching topic, and also all of you who are organizing it and also translating for me. So I sincerely want to say thank you to all of you. And I hope since we have the topic is the teaching on the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa. So of course, not possible to go very much in detail, but I think more important is to learn about them and then to put into practice, how to put into practice. So I would like to, as we say, following the 3 stages. First, the listening to the teaching, then contemplating on the teaching, and then putting into practice, which is meditation of the practice, is very important. So these 3 steps, inseparable, is very important. So I try to combine these 3 together. And and since we have today and tomorrow, so today I try to go through the first 2 topic of the Dharmas of Gampopa, and tomorrow the 3rd and 4th. So that way we divide. So now, without wasting time, first of all, important to know, the master from who this particular teaching manifested or came about. So as we all know, the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa, so it's from the great master Gampopa. And Gampopa was called, he was known as the Sonam Rinchen, and he was a great, a doctor. And he lived in 1079. So I don't know how you say that. 1079, or I don't know how you say it. There's a way of saying, right? The year. So somewhere there. And so from an early age, his father gave him a very good education, and he was very intelligent and fast in learning, and he became a great physician. So he's also known as the physician, from the Thakpo. So we also call him that, the Thakpo Lhaje. So Lhaje means the physician or the doctor, and Thakpo is the place from where he came. So Thakpo Lhaje. And he had a very successful career, and he became one of the best doctors of his time in the region. And then, then he got married and he had children. And then around the age of 25, then his family, contracted a very serious disease. At that time, it was, I think, in that area, such disease was going on, and even his family, his wife, his children, contaminated like that. And though he was a very, very renowned good doctor, he had all medicines, and he tried his best to treat them. But unfortunately, he was unsuccessful, and his wife passed away, his children passed away. And so this brought him really to the path of spirituality, Dharma. So that is when he turned to Dharma, realizing, that no matter how much you have in this world in terms of material well-being and even the knowledge, the knowledge of the, the worldly knowledge, it wasn't really enough, so he wanted to really look for a more deeper, uh, uh, sense of well-being and understanding of the truth. So that is when he decided to follow the spiritual path, and then he became ordained monk, and he joined the Kadampa tradition, and he was a great Kadampa master. As we know, he was very learned and with such great determination, and then quickly he was able to learn the philosophy and the Buddha Dharma, and he became a great Kadampa master. And then gradually, then he heard the great master, the yogi Milarepa's name. And when he heard that, immediately he had this, kind of calling and a great wish to receive teachings from the great yogi Milarepa. So then he decided to go in search of Milarepa. And so then when he went, then the place called Tashigang, where in the mountain of that place, then Milarepa was residing, teaching his students the Mahamudra, transmitting the Mahamudra lineage. And then Gampopa, when he reached that place, he met a student of Milarepa, a yogini, and then she told him, that yes, master is expecting you already and knew about this. And that made Gampopa very, kind of a little bit, how do you say, he had a little bit of an ego, because he thought, oh, I'm special, even the great yogi Milarepa know that I'm coming, so this everything is very special. Therefore, I will not have much difficulty in learning and, the transmission, able to transmit the precious Mahamudra lineage. So he will not have very difficult time. So he had this kind of a little bit of an ego. And Milarepa was, omniscient. So he knew this. So then, so he didn't give immediate audience to him, and then he told that when the right time comes, I will call you. So till then, you practice and wait. So he was waiting for quite a few weeks. And then finally he thought, that I think, I really am not, how do you say, my karma is not good. I'm not so special because I'm not getting audience with a great yogi, so maybe, I'm not so special. Everybody else is receiving teachings and able to see him, and I'm still not able to, so he really practiced hard, did lots of purification, practice, accumulation of merit, practice and that. And then he spent a lot of time doing that with sincere devotion and aspiration to have this karma of meeting the great master and receiving teaching. And then gradually with this, then Milarepa saw that the time was right, and then he sent a student of his to call Gampopa, said, now the time is right, so you can come and see. And when Gampopa went to see him, and then Milarepa was sitting on a rock, and then all of his students then greeted him, and then Milarepa offered him a bowl of, we say, chang. Chang is a local drink, alcohol drink. So he offered him that, and at that moment, Gampopa, in his mind, thought, that, oh, I'm a he was a great Kadampa master, ordained monk. So he thought, if I drink the chang, won't it contaminate my vows? So he was thinking that, and immediately Milarepa, could know this. And Milarepa told him, son, don't think too much, don't confuse too much. And immediately he knew that this master was an enlightened master, and then he had so much faith and so much, devotion that he immediately took that bowl of chang and drank it up completely. And this was a great, we say, auspicious, how do you say, occasion, or it was of great significance because it showed, or it, this interdependent, the auspicious, how do you say, we call it, because when he drank completely, it's, the significance is that he would be able to, take in the entire transmission of whatever his guru, the Milarepa, would transmit upon him, like how from the water poured from one vase to another vase completely, so that way he would be able to receive and uphold and benefit beings through this. So it was of great significance and very auspicious that way. And so then, of course, he uh, studied, practiced under Milarepa for many years, and of course through a lot of hardship also, and so without wasting any time for many years. And finally, then after complete transmission of the the Mahamudra lineage, and then he finally his guru, the Milarepa, told him that now it is time for you to, leave and practice yourself, and then to transmit to others and benefit beings through this. So then finally Gampopa, left and practiced, continued to practice, and through that practice, then he attained very high realization. And then he also had a great, students, as we know, the students such as the first Kamapa, Tusum Chempa, and then Pamo Trupa, then Gambo Children Hingpo, then we say, the Sakong Shogum, then Baram Tharma Wangchuk, etc., etc., and so many great enlightened masters, So, and then after that, then it was Gampopa's time that till then the Kaju lineage, from like Tiloba, Naroba, Marba, Milarepa, they were all yogis. And then Gampopa was a Kadampa master. So from Gampopa, then he was a complete ordained master. So the Kadampa lineage and the Mahamudra lineage together, then transmitted through him in the ordained, monk establishment also. And from there, then it also came to be known as the, Thakpo Kaju. So actually, we call Marpa Kaju, but Gampopa's activity manifested and flourished to benefit countless beings, so much so that the Marpa Kaju also, we call it Thakpo Kaju, as there is a prophecy, that by Marpa to Milarepa, that, the in the Kaju lineage, the students will be greater than the master, so that way, then it shows, that Thakpo Rinpoche's, the activity flourished so much that it came to be known as the Thakpo Kaju. So that is, a brief background of Gampopa, who we also say Thakpo Rinpoche. And so he compiled, a few, how do you say, teachings. For example, Thakpo Tharjin, we say, then Lamcho Rinchen Tingwa, and so all these are, great practice teachings. And here today is the, the coincided by but complete teaching. We say the entire teaching of the Buddha can be, coincided in this 4 lines. The Thabo which is the 4 Dharma, 4 Dharma of Gampopa. So this is a complete teaching by itself. So so that way. So now as we know the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa, in English translation, there are many translations. So, I'm not sure which one each individual of you are using, but it's fine. In Tibetan, we say, lo chusun roar, shinjin labdun sol. So that is like aspiration also, supplication. So from oneself as a practitioner, and then we supplicate to our master, to Thakur Rinpoche, that may you grant your blessing so that my mind may turn towards the Dharma. So that is the first Chu, or the first Dharma. Then the second Dharma is the Chu Lam Tuntoar Shinji Labduson. So which means grant your blessing so that the Dharma may progress along the path. And the third Dharma is Lam Tulpa Selvar Shinji Labdusol. So grant, okay. So grant your blessing so that the path may clarify confusion. And then the fourth is Tulpa Yeshisu Charvar Shinji Labdusol. So which means grant your blessing so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. So these are the 4 Dharma of Gampopa. So now, so in the teaching, as we all know, the teaching of the Changchup Lamrim, so English, I think they translate as the stages of enlightenment, right? So Changchup Lamrim, which was put down by the great master, Choa Jepalan Atisha, and also then a great elaboration of this Changchup Lamrim by the great master Tsongkhapa is there. So in this, then it states, or it shows, the 3 kind of faculties, practice path of the 3 kind of faculties. We say Chibu, Chempo, Chibu Dringpo, and Chibu Chungu. So Chibu Chempo means beings of the higher faculty. Chibu Dringpo means beings of the middle faculty. And Chibu Chungu means the beings of the lower or the lesser faculty. So now, when you say lesser faculty, so beings of such faculty, they work towards fulfilling the need of well-being for this life and next life, but in the samsara. So next life means, say, a higher rebirth in the human realm, or maybe at the most a god, as a god, so like that. So they are beings who work towards such limited goal. We also call this the worldly dharma, so just a limited goal. So, like for example, wish to be healthy, wish to be prosperous, wish to be famous, so like that, wish to be powerful, so for that purpose, whatever you do, whether you say accumulate some merit or whether you work, so your goal is just for that, to have some kind of fame, prosperity, and that kind of limited goal or limited, aspiration. So that is normally beings of such, we say, lesser faculty, because they cannot fathom beyond that. So now, so whether they accumulate virtue or anything, it's for that kind of goal or result. And then the middle faculty, beings of the middle faculty are those who work towards liberation from sufferings of the samsara. So, for example, we say the Nyentu and Rangsangje. So Nyentu, Shravakas, and Patika Buddhas. So I'm not exactly sure the word, pronunciation, but I think you get it, right? So Nyentu and Rangsangje. So for them, seeing that the samsara is, the truly, how do you say, renunciation to the sufferings of the samsara, and wish to be free from this, and to achieve the peace from this for oneself. So that is the second, the middle faculty. And then the beings of the higher faculty are those beings who follow the path of the Mahayana or the Vajrayana. So such beings have taken the commitment of, we say, bodhicitta, the bodhisattva's path, the bodhicitta. So here, the goal is not just for oneself to be free from the sufferings of samsara, but rather, to be free from this, not only the samsara, but for the complete enlightenment, to attain complete enlightenment, and not only for oneself, but for the benefit of all sentient beings. So they not only remain themselves free from sufferings of samsara, but the bodhicitta is to manifest activity to benefit beings, to liberate beings from the samsara to the state of complete enlightenment. And that is the bodhisattva path, or the bodhisattva commitment. And that is, the higher faculty, or the greater beings of the greater caliber. And so this is the part of the Mahayana, or the Vajrayana path. And with this, you can attain the complete enlightenment. Now here, the great master Gampopa put down the teachings of the four dharmas of Gampopa in accordance with the teachings of the Changchub Lamrim, the stages of enlightenment. Also, together with the teachings of the Mahamudra, Chagja Chempo. As I told you, he was a master who, studied and, practiced the Kadampa tradition, and later received the entirety of the transmission of the Mahamudra from the great Yogi Milarepa. So that way he combined both, the teaching, the practice lineage, transmission of the Kadampa and the Mahamudra together. And so the teaching here, the four Dharma of Gampopa, is a combination of both of these lineage, so practice. So that way it becomes very special also. So we say Chagja, Kacha Chua Jinde, Ka means Kadampa lineage, Cha means Chagja Chempo Mahamudra lineage, Kada, Kacha Chua means the great, source of water, the river. So Chua Jig means, merge into one, so the great, Mahamudra and the Kadamba lineage merge into one, and then manifest from the great master Gampopa here in the four dharmas of Gampopa. So, so here in these teachings, then not much, Gampopa doesn't emphasize too much on the practice of the, the lower faculty, because, rather he stressed more on the middle and the higher faculty, because the lower faculty, the practice doesn't help one to be free from suffering of the samsara truly. So it is not complete. So therefore, that is what this first teaching, the Lo Chu Sundro. So may one's mind turn towards the Dharma means. So here Dharma is not the worldly Dharma. In the lower faculty, the Dharma that they practice is the worldly Dharma. So which everybody already are very good at. So but here he is talking about the sacred Dharma. So which is the Dharma which can propel you from this samsara to the state of complete realization. So working towards that, so stress more on the middle and the higher faculty practice. So now, so from that, then first Dharma, which is grant your blessing so that my mind may turn towards the Dharma. So this is the practice of the middle faculty. So here the beings on this path truly wish to be free from the sufferings of the samsara and its cause, of the suffering for themselves. As I said, they truly fear the sufferings of the samsara and the cause of these sufferings, and work on that to be free from that for themselves. So here they see the samsara as a great ocean of suffering, and they are not distracted by the worldly, dharma, which is the cause for binding one to the samsara. So, as I said, normally, for us, the all sentient beings, no matter what kind of beings we are, whether we are humans, whether we are animals, whether we are some, extraterrestrial, we are all, one common thing that we have, and that is we wish to be happy, and we wish to be free from suffering. So that is common. But the difference is how we work towards achieving this happiness and how we work towards eradicating the suffering. Ordinarily, we think, that if we have a lot of material wealth, that will give us happiness, that will free us from our suffering. So we work towards that all the time. We sacrifice our time. We say, one of the sufferings of human realm is that we have no time. So like this, we are working day and night and trying to make wealth, thinking that it can give us, happiness. But the very process of getting absorbed into that thought starts our suffering, isn't it? Because we don't have time for ourselves, we don't have time for others. We are, and we are stuck, trying to make money, and then we think that will give us happiness. But the more money we have, the more we want, and the more we, have, the more we want. So there's never end to that want. And after some time, the want becomes so big that it is just so enormous that one takes one's own life, or one becomes crazy. There are so many, and one needs different how do you say different help from different things to even sleep in the night. So like that. We don't hear much of people who don't have so much wealth have difficult sleeping, and needing sleeping pills. You don't hear much. But normally you hear people who have a lot of fame, a lot of wealth, many things. You always hear, that they need help of sleeping pills and all these kind of stuff, So why? Because of such thing, So it shows clearly that such methods are not really effective. Yes, it gives us, a certain level of, what do you say, uh, satisfaction, but that itself becomes the cause of our suffering again. So when we talk, I guess later it comes, the three kind of sufferings we have. So as long as we are in the samsara, then we are in this cycle, and we are chained by these sufferings. So like that, so we are stuck this way. So that is called the worldly dharma. So as long as one is, so even dharma, like let's say you do practice and all this, you receive teachings, the precious dharma teaching. But if you are just like, for example, meditation, so if you do meditation just to have some kind of tranquility, some kind of ecstasy, that kind of a thing, then instead of the meditation really benefiting you, becomes addictive to you, isn't it? Then that meditation itself, instead of liberating you from this suffering, your shortcomings, becomes another source of your shortcoming. When you do little meditation, you feel very happy and nice, and then when you don't do, immediately you are, you cannot handle, and you always need that. And if you cannot do for one day meditation, then you become crazy. Somebody, come and talk to you, you get upset. You think that person disturbed you. Then you are upset. You cannot take it anymore. So this wonderful thing, the opportunity to meditate become a problem to you, because you become addicted to it. It becomes too much grasping onto this, like for these limited, goal of just like happiness, of tranquility, the ecstasy. So if becomes like that, then even a precious, the dharma also becomes, works opposite, so like that. And then also say like an act of great generosity, so generosity in many ways, so you can have generosity through your activity of, benefiting others in so many ways, with your wish, thought, well-being, act of also, kind of act of generosity, then giving them, so all like that. So even if you do all these acts, but you do for the sake of getting some kind of recognition, some kind of benefit out of that, then it becomes limited, and as long as you are getting some, you will be happy. But then there's such a strong string attached to that, that when you don't see people really recognize your such action, or or forget to recognize that, then it becomes a great source of, aversion, make you upset, and make you, and then this such a wonderful act is, kind of contaminated by that, and then it becomes the source of one's downfall. We are uh, chained to the samsara with these afflictive emotions of, uh, attachment, uh, aversion, ignorance, jealousy, ego, pride, etc. So that act, such a wonderful act, becomes the source of, generating this ego, which is one of the main, ignorance to bind you to the samsara. Then it is very sad, isn't it? It works totally in the opposite. Instead of uh, instead of liberating you from this samsara. So that way, then in the worldly dharma, so in the world, if one falls into this worldly dharma, then one's practice cannot be, on the path of genuine, true spirituality or spiritual practice. So when I say spiritual practice, one must understand it doesn't mean, like some kind of blind faith or some kind of, you have to succumb yourself to somebody, who has a greater power than you, someone out there. If you are not good to that one, then you will be punished. And if you are good to that one, then, you will be rewarded. So not that, so here when I say spiritual, practice of the spirituality doesn't mean that. In fact, it is the opposite of that. It is that your liberation, your freedom depends on you. You have the full, liberty, the full ability to achieve that liberation, because we all have this quality in us. We all have this ability in us. So we call this the Buddha nature. So the primordial potential or the wisdom within each and every one of us. So that is, so our practice will not go towards that, if we are bound by the worldly dharma. So like that. So here, first, to turn one's mind towards the sacred dharma is very, very important. To know the difference between the sacred dharma and the ordinary dharma is very important. So if you don't know that, then you will not know how to follow the spiritual path. So that is why, and then first teaching of the Gampopa emphasizes on this, that may my mind be turned towards the Dharma. Now, so when I say again, that like the worldly dharma, like say, when one works towards fame or wealth, etc., etc., it doesn't mean I'm against that. One shouldn't be trapped or slaved by that. That is important. So we shouldn't fall extreme to any. So supposing, let's say, fame. We are not against fame. We are not against people who have fame. So we don't have to go, protesting against people who have fame or who work for fame. No, but we shouldn't be succumb to, the idea or the, how to say, be bound or slaved by this fame. So when we have the fame, we know how to make the best of it. If you have fame, then you can reach to many people, and you can teach many right things to people. You can benefit many people that way. So then your life becomes meaningful. This one life becomes meaningful. What many lives cannot do, your one life can do. So that way. And also, and then here, we should understand, here Gampopa especially stresses on the importance of the, the study, reflecting, and meditating on impermanence and karma, cause and condition. So in this, so here, that is very important. So when I say impermanence, it means change, subject to change. So everything is subject to change. That is the nature of everything, relatively. Everything changes all the time. So that is impermanent. When I first traveled, many people, when I say impermanent, like in the, for us in the Tibetan society, impermanence, we always, associate with life, so impermanent means death. So when you talk about death, it motivates people, because your life is short, you will die any moment, any time, but that time is uncertain. So people are very much motivated by that to work harder, to, but when I travel, when you talk about life impermanent, it is more depressing for many people rather than motivating. So then I think why, and then I realized, it's the way of interpretation. It's just so. Then I realized, why not say a change? Change is impermanent. So it is impermanent means change. So everything is changing all the time. So this way, then, for example, whether it is the external world, whether it is our planet Earth, the universe, the galaxy, the surrounding, everything is changing all the time. That is how we have years. This year is now 2024. Last year was 2023. Next year will be 2025. So how do we have that change of, the year? Is because we're impermanent. And then months changing. We started 2024 with January, and now it is May. So February, March, April already gone, and we are on May, and then June, July is yet to come. So that is change. Nothing is stuck all the time. And then even in the month, we have weeks, and then we have days, and then we have 24 hours, and we have so like that, minutes and seconds, milliseconds, so everything all the time, changing all the time, moving. Nothing is, permanently, solid by itself. Everything is changing all the time, and that is impermanent. So when you really think of that, then it is of great, benefit, because it helps you to not waste your life. It helps you to give you more resilient to the difficult times, because even if you have the worst time, it is impermanent, subject to change. So it will never remain the worst time forever. It will keep changing, and good times are there. And when you have the best time also, you will not be lost in that, because it is changing all the time. Times can change. But that doesn't mean that time will change to bad, And it doesn't mean if you have bad time, it will change to good, because the next, it says, depends on, karma, cause and condition. So cause and condition is very important. Nothing happens out of the blue, or, like that. Like, you cannot have a apple from the empty space. You need the cause and condition for a good apple, isn't it? You need the seed, you need to sow it, you need good, soil, fertilizer, you need the sunlight, you need the warmth of the sun, you need to water it, you need to take care of it. And then gradually, that seed will grow into the, the apple tree. And then from the tree, then gradually you will have the apple. So everything, changes there. Everything is changing. It's not stuck. If it's stuck to the seed would never grow into the tree then. Then how will you have the apple? You'd never have the apple. So because of the change, you can have the, tasty, wonderful apple. But to have that tasty, wonderful apple, you need to create the cause and condition for that. You cannot sow the seed and then not look after it and expect to have a good apple. If no watering, if no, sunlight, if no all that, then the seed will die. You cannot have a tree. You cannot have an apple. And so that way, so we understanding this subject to change, impermanence, everything, there's opportunity to everything. Now, whether the opportunity one can make to one's favorable opportunity or becomes a problem for one, that is also in our hand, because that is subject to the cause and effect, the karma cause and effect. So therefore, now you can see, everything is in your hand. You are the master of yourself. But in order to truly understand that, then you need to understand the impermanence, the change, and the karma cause and condition. And if you know this, then you will truly become a good Dharma practitioner. A Dharma practitioner means a good, a spiritual person, a person who can, go much deeper, who can make one's life meaningful for oneself and others. So that is a spiritual person, you know. So, so like that, so you will become such a person if you know this, So Gampopa says, here the main practice. And of course, in this first practice, like for example, in a traditional practice, then we have, the we call the Lodo Namji, so which means the four reminders, I think translated as four reminder, but I'm sure there are better translation also. So when I first picked up a English translated book on the the four the preliminary practices, then I saw it as the four reminders. So then that word stuck with me. But lo means the mind. Do means to how do you say to uh, mm, to turn away, so to turn away from a worldly mind, a mind, a worldly dharmic mind, to a mind that turns towards the sacred dharma. So that is lo do namji. So the four reminder, I don't know, the word four reminder doesn't really bring out that, but then it is important because you should remind yourself again and again, so that is how one will change one's, outlook of one's action of the body, speech, and mind. So I guess the four reminders also okay. So this way then, so the four practice of the the Lodo Namji relates to this. So the first is, for example, reflecting on the precious human life, and second is the the uh, the the uh, mm, impermanence, and then the third is the the karma cause and effect, and then the fourth is the the shortcomings of the samsara. So normally, these practices are done, as a practice of the first Dharma of Gampopa. But here, mainly, it stresses particularly on the, the impermanence and the karma cause and effect. As I said, if one truly understands and can, jar in Tibetan we say lola jar, so lo means mind, jar means to stick, so if that can truly become one, with yourself in your thought, in your action, then you will always be mindful, you will always do the right, because that you see the reality of everything, and then you would know what is the right thing to do, because as I said, all of us wish to be happy, all of us wish to be free from suffering, so we know how to work towards that. So that is why in this first, and then now, so here when I say the three, the samsara, as long as it's worldly, then dharma, then it is subject to the three sufferings. So the three sufferings, I'm sure many of you know, but as a reminder to those who know, and as a something new for those who haven't heard. So we have if you generalize, then sufferings are of three kinds, which is the suffering of suffering, and then the suffering of change, and all pervasive suffering. So suffering of suffering is the suffering that we normally associate with, So supposing, let's say, uh, uh, let's say illness, like diabetes. Yeah. Nowadays, many, especially in the monasteries, monks have this problem, because not much physical movement, then the diet, the nutrition, not much education on that. And the diet that we have in Tibet is very heavy. And then, continuing with such diet, but no physical movement and then create diabetes, So, and many have this problem. And so, first of all, you already have problem of diabetes. You cannot enjoy so many things, right? You cannot enjoy good food. You cannot, and then you have so many, when you have diabetes, then your mood, is very dull, and your body not comfortable. All that. So that is one suffering. And on top of that suffering, then, if you have diabetes, then if you have any other illness, it becomes a big problem. Diabetes create lots of complication for other problems. So already you have one problem, and then on top of that, another problem. So, and then on top of that, when there's more complication, then you need to go see, get treated. So to get treated, it is financially taxing. So in order to have a good treatment, you need finance. And then that is another worry. And when you are sick, you don't have time to accumulate that wealth. So that is another worry, another problem. So like that. So suffering on top of suffering. So that is, and this is just one example. So normally, whatever suffering, we associate most of them as the suffering of the suffering. Then second is the suffering of change. So this normally we say anything that gives us pleasure, worldly pleasure, it is subject to change, and when it changes into suffering. So that thing that we call happiness becomes the source of suffering as long as it is worldly. For example, let's say, okay, let's say you win a lottery. So first you are okay. You're doing well, fine. Everything is okay. Then the moment you win a lottery, then what happens? Now you get so much money, then you have to pay the tax. And most of the people are, never satisfied. So you are not willing to pay the tax. First of all, it already gives you that short moment of happiness of saying you have won such and such amount of money, you're very happy. But straight after that, when that comes, you will get what? Maybe two-thirds, maybe half of it. Then you are unhappy already, having to lose that half to tax, so already you are unhappy. But still, you have quite a bit. Now, having that quite a bit, now you need to have a good bank, who you have to make good study, that this bank does not go corrupt, how do you say, bankrupt. Because if it goes bankrupt, then big problem, so you need to invest your money in a good bank or all that, So many things, one after another. So that happiness, which so-called happiness, you really thought brought happiness, changing all the time and changes to so many worries, which you never had at the beginning, so like that, it changes. So anything now, so people who like car, it's owning a wonderful, beautiful, expensive car is a big headache, because then the insurance for the car is much more. Then when you drive, you cannot drive in peace, because a little bit of scratch, little bit of dent is a big problem, so much attachment to that. And attachment is, afflictive emotion, that is a source of one's, suffering, so it brings suffering. So we can see, that change, the suffering of change means that. So as long as it is worldly dharma, then it is subject to change, and subject to change brings, a suffering. And then all pervasive suffering is the third kind of suffering. And this is, it is like, it is present in all of us, though maybe, not very, how to say, not very solid. It is in a very subtle level. For example, no matter how much we have, we are never kind of satisfied. There's always some more want or something, there, some kind of need or, empty there. So that is kind of, example of all pervasive suffering. So of course, it is said that, like the bodhisattvas can, truly see this, and can realize this. Whereas for us, we still, because we are so thick, our skin is so thick that we cannot really fathom it. Like examples are given, that when a strain of hair, thin strain of hair is in your palm, you cannot feel. But because you cannot feel doesn't mean it's not there. Because the same strain of hair, if it goes into your eyes, then you will feel great discomfort. So like that. So right now in this moment, the all progressive suffering is there. We are always experiencing it, but we are very, we are not able to really fathom it. But so gradually, so through these understandings, then we will understand and then work towards overcoming. So to know suffering is very important. When you know what is suffering, then there's genuine wish to be free from suffering. You will work towards suffering, towards being free from suffering. And when you start working, then that is the first step to liberation. So therefore, and then so you work towards the cause of those, shortcomings, and work towards eradicating these causes. So like that. So therefore. So now maybe we can do a short practice on this, the first Dharma of Gampopa. As I said, the practice is with the, the impermanence. So now here, how we will do the impermanence practice is, we will do a meditation first on the breathing. So breathing is, like normally breathing shamatha meditation is quite common to all. So everybody know this. So we just focus on the breath, going in and out. And then gradually we see that, the breath that is going in and out is always changing. The breath, how will a breath go in? If there's no breath coming out, it cannot go in. And then if there's no breath going in, how will it come out? And so every moment there's change taking place. And then also that breath, when it goes in, passes through your, mouth, then through the, the windpipe, goes down into the lungs, then, fills the lung up. Then gradually again the lungs deflate, and then that wind coming out, from your, windpipes, out from your nose or mouth, then going out, then that, so the oxygen, taking in oxygen, changing to carbon dioxide, come out, so that, everything is changing all the time, so like this. So this is one way of, meditating on this. And others also, one can meditate on like sensation, like your body, we can say, we can focus, let's say, the sensation on our, let's say, crown. Then gradually that sensation, whether it's, first you have a sensation of thumping, then that will gradually change into, some kind of a heat, hot. Then it becomes cool. Then that disappear. Then that sensation goes somewhere behind your neck. Then that moves somewhere else. So like that, one can focus on the sensation, all the time change taking place. And so we just recognize that change, and we just maintain our awareness on that and be with that. And so when we learn to do this, so as I said, first is to recognize. It's very important. When we recognize it and then be with that, then what happens? Then gradually we understand it, and then we can go deeper, and then we can, truly, we can understand this, the impermanence, the change. So that we will do. So beginning, of course, we will start, because of short session, we do the refuge and bodhicitta. So the bodhicitta is normally, in the 4 sentence, Sangji Chudang, Tsukji Chonanga, Chanju Pardo Dani Chapsuchi, Daki Jinzo Jebe, Sunamji Dola Pinchir, Sangji Dobarsho. So these 4 lines have the bodhicitta, the refuge and bodhicitta. Okay, so we will skip the 4 immeasurable thoughts at the moment because of time. So the first 4 sentences we will do nicely 3 times. And then after that, and then we will do a short, breathing shamatha. So breathing shamatha means, you just focus on the breath going out, the breath coming in, so just focus on that mindfully, focusing, be aware of this. Just that's it. Thoughts will arise, doesn't matter. Don't, no need to stop or block your thought. No need to entertain the thought. You make the breath as the support for your mind to rest on. So this way we will do for a short time. Then after that, then gradually we learn to just watch the impermanent, the changing nature of the breath. Okay, as I explained to you. So this way, and then we will do a dedication at the end. So now, before the meditation, we just sit for a while. We relax for a while. Just take a deep breath, and as we breathe out, then just feel the weight of the body. Your body has this gravitational pull. So just feel that and relax. As you feel that, then just let all the muscles of your body relax and just feel that and be relaxed in that. So if you want, you can close your eyes also. Now we make the supplication mudra, and then we recite the refuge and bodhicitta. Sangji chudang soji chonam la changju bardo dani jausuji dagi jinso jibi sunamji rola penshir sangji drubara shu Sangji chudang soji chonam 장주 바르도 다네 잡서치 다게 인소 지베 선남지 로라 펜시르 상지 루바쇼 상지 추당 소지 초남 장주 바르도 다네 잡서치 다게 인소 지베 선남지 로라 펜시르 상지 루바쇼 just remain in the meditative posture and just do the shamatha, the breathing shamatha for a while. Just be aware of the breath going out and in. Now observe the breath, the ever-changing nature of the breath. From moment to moment, it is changing all the time. Recognize this change and just be with that. You don't have to try and alter it. You don't have to try and change anything. Just recognize this moment to moment change taking place and just be with that as it is. How the breath comes in and then fills your lungs, entering through the windpipes to each and every cell, and then it goes out. So this way, you be with that change from moment to moment, recognizing this change and being with this change. Just be with it. And when you breathe, even how your chest, your stomach, everything expanding and contracting. So all the change that is taking place. Now, as I said, you can focus on the sensation of the body. For example, on your crown or on your face, any part of the face, the sensation, if you just focus on that, the sensation is changing all the time. Just recognize the nature of change and be with that. No need to purposely alter and change. Just recognize that very nature of the change and be with it. So gradually, such practice will help us become aware and familiar with this very nature of impermanence or change of all phenomena, and gradually recognize directly the nature of phenomena of this change. Now we just let it be, let go of that, and just remain in this state of meditation for a while. And then we do a short dedication. Sonam di Thamche Zibani, so we do that. Sonam di Thamje Zibani, Thomne Nyebe Danam Thamje, Chega Nachi Balab Tubai, Sibe Chole Rowan Rowarasho. And just relax for a while. Okay. So now, as I said, so when you develop this, you know, genuine understanding of this impermanent nature, the nature of change of all phenomena, and then the karma cause and effect, and then one will truly be able to turn one's mind towards the sacred Dharma. So that is the first Dharma of Gampopa. So now the second, so which is the Chu Lam Tundoa, Chinji Lam Tunsol. So Chu Lam Tundoa means may grant your blessing so that the Dharma may progress along the path. So for the Dharma to truly progress along the path, then it is dependent on the path of the higher faculty or the Mahayana. Here, when you say higher faculty, it means beings who are able to develop the bodhicitta, Changchup Chisem, the mind of the bodhicitta. So not only striving just for liberation from the suffering of the samsara for oneself, but working towards the ultimate liberation, the enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that is the bodhicitta. And when one is able to genuinely develop such a thought and act on this, and then that is a being of the higher faculty and is called a bodhisattva, or one who practices on the path of the bodhisattva. So for the Dharma to truly progress along the path, then the bodhicitta is the foremost condition, very, very important. With this, then one does not limit oneself to, the limited, result of just peace, nirvana. So you are not just limited to that, but rather you are able to realize the ultimate truth, and through this, then manifest to liberate beings, to the state of perfect enlightenment. Your activity will manifest that way in the three kayas, we say, so in the Vajrayana. So now, here, in order to develop the genuine bodhicitta, then developing loving kindness, compassion is very important. Without loving kindness, compassion, then saying, I wish to liberate all beings to the state of perfect realization, and the bodhisattvas, is a little bit superficial. So very important to have a genuine, the loving kindness, compassion. So that is very important. So here, when we say loving kindness, compassion, so in loving kindness is Champa, and compassion is Ningje. So Champa, loving kindness means the, wish to, wish for all sentient beings. Of course, all sentient beings means including yourself, to be, to have happiness, and not just have happiness, but the cause of happiness. So that is loving kindness. And compassion is, may all sentient beings be free from suffering, and not just free from suffering, but the causes of suffering. So this cause is very important, because if you don't work on the cause, then that is just temporary. So the cause of suffering, the cause of happiness is very important to reflect on here. So that is the loving kindness, compassion. And then when one truly develops a genuine loving kindness, compassion this way, and then that will transform into a genuine bodhicitta. when you see that all sentient beings, like yourself, wish to be happy, and like yourself, wish to be free from suffering, but don't know how to create the cause of happiness because of ignorance, of course, thinking that the more one entertains one's identity, one's ego, one's, how do you say? So this way, then one feels that one will be protected, one will be, so we always thinking like that, but actually it works the opposite way. The more we hold on to this I, the more we, uh, 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 the more we entertain this I, then the I become more and more greedy, more and more unsatisfiable. And it becomes so big that, when you have a big balloon, and then very easy to burst the balloon. From a distance, you can throw a nail and burst the balloon. But if the balloon is very small, and then very difficult to hit the balloon from a distance, isn't it? So the same way, so if we entertain this, I, me, mine, then there's never end. We should only protect her and more. This way, we have attachment, creates attachment, and through this attachment, then there is suffering. So that, so this way, all beings wish to be happy, but don't know how to work towards that. Don't see the cause of those happiness. And all beings wish to be free from suffering, but always creating the cause of those suffering. So that is called ignorance. And so that way we are all trapped in this. So seeing this and genuinely, truly developing loving kindness and compassion for all those sentient beings, seeing them as oneself and wishing as how we wish to be free, genuinely for ourselves to be free from suffering and to have happiness. So in the same way, you feel from within yourself for all sentient beings. And that is loving kindness, compassion. And that loving kindness, compassion comes from respect for other beings, not because you think, other beings are lesser than you, so you must feel pity for them. Not like that. That is with ego. So not like that, but genuinely seeing that all sentient beings like yourself, you know, are how you cherish yourself precious. You are important to yourself. So in the same way, all sentient being is important. So recognizing that, and of course later on, uh, when we further, then it talks about the Buddha nature and all that. So the qualities of all sentient beings. So then, in that sense, then all sentient beings are very precious. So understanding these qualities, then learning to respect them, learning to appreciate them, and through that, then when one develops loving kindness, compassion, then that is true loving kindness, compassion, and that will transform into the bodhicitta. Because unless one is able to truly liberate oneself from ignorance completely, which is enlightenment, then you are still, there's limitation to oneself. And so therefore, striving for this perfect state of enlightenment for all sentient beings, like how you wish for yourself, and that is bodhicitta. So to develop that kind of a, starting with aspiration, then with action. So that is called, the aspiration bodhicitta, and then that aspiration transforms into action bodhicitta. So through these two, kind of bodhicitta. So very important. So without aspiration, nothing is possible. So that is why aspiration is so important. That is why we have, the aspiration prayers. We have gatherings of many people together making aspiration prayer. And so that is how, so we make aspiration prayers. So here, then in this topic, the most important is developing the loving kindness, compassion, and then bodhicitta. So that is Gampopa emphasized on this practice here. So, and then on top of that, the nature, the seeing all dharma, the nature of all dharma as emptiness. So we say chutamje tongxing dame. So free from an independent self, solid, singular entity. So all dharma is empty of such a thing. Everything is dependent. Emptiness nature. So this, and so by relying on the path of, as I say, aspiration and action bodhicitta, then the relative and ultimate bodhicitta also arise from that. So when you say relative bodhicitta, then there's somebody here doing the practice of bodhicitta, then for somebody there to do the bodhicitta practice, and then the action of doing the bodhicitta practice. So that is you are in the three spheres, in the sphere of the one doing the action itself, and to whom you are doing the action. So that is relative bodhicitta. And then from there, then gradually the ultimate bodhicitta. Ultimate bodhicitta is through the understanding of the emptiness nature. So free from these three, the spheres of subject, object, and the action. So that is the ultimate bodhicitta. So, so now, okay. So then, so through this kind of practice, then one is free from the ignorance of grasping at a true, existential nature, like say I, and then from there, all as I already mentioned, comes and me, mine, then attachment, aversion, ignorance, and elaborated into many other, like ego, pride, jealousy, etc., etc. So all that arises from that, holding on to this as reality, I. So that way, and then when we recognize the empty nature of this, then we can truly be free from this very, then we are, we go beyond this limitation of even samsara and nirvana. So samsara, as long as there's samsara, there's the nirvana. As long as nirvana, there's samsara. So it is still limited. So when we truly develop the the limitless nature, when we truly realize this, then we go beyond, and that is the ultimate state or the true nature of everything, where we say, the liberation and samsara is of one. So there's no separate. But of course, that is gradually, we get there. So this emphasizes on this kind of higher faculty practice. So so now with this kind of practice, then one can truly, so with these two kind of practice, then the next, which is the clarifying the confusion, can truly, happen. So because of these two paths, then comes the next, which is clarifying the confusion, which is the third. So here, Gampopa says it cannot directly, so these two, how do you say, the previous teachings cannot directly clarify confusion, relying on them only, but one has to rely on the the path of the Vajrayana or the Mantrayana. which deals with skillful means or practices, such as the developmental stage practice and the completion stage practice. So that is the next, the next topic of the teaching. But here now for this particular practice, as I said, we do a short. It's already time. We have, I think, let's say one practice we should do, right? So then it becomes, so we do a short meditation on this. Okay, so as I said, this is a practice of the loving kindness, compassion. So we can do a practice of the loving kindness, developing loving kindness, compassion. As I said, loving kindness is, uh, truly developing this, a genuine motivation to uh, you know wishing for all sentient beings, including yourself, to be always happy and the causes of happiness, and truly wishing all sentient beings, including yourself, to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So loving kindness, compassion. So we meditate on that, try to develop this. Okay, so that is the first meditation. And if we today little short time, then practices such as Tonglen practice. I'm sure all of you heard of. Tonglen is give and take practice. The practice of giving and taking. So giving one's well-being and everything to others, and then taking others, shortcomings onto oneself, like that. And supposing if somebody is, if you've experienced something, happy experience, then immediately think, may all this happiness and the causes of this happiness, ripen onto others also, and others also be, yes, happy, like how I'm experiencing. And when one experiences, difficult times, then one immediately thinks that may, all sentient beings also their such difficulties and the causes of difficulties ripen onto my this very difficulty, so that I can absorb all that onto this, and may all sentient beings be free from such, and may I take this and ripen on myself. So like that. So that is a Tonglen practice. So one can do this practice. It's very, sometimes people think Tonglen practice, they are scared to do this, because they think you will lose your happiness and you will be, bombarded with suffering, but it really doesn't work that way. It works in the opposite way, because at the end you see, the stronger grasping onto this I, mine, for me, then more attachment, more aversion towards others, then that is ignorance, and then suffering arises, because these are the root cause of suffering, then suffering arises. But when you change that mindset in the Tonglen way, what happens? Then this I is less powerful. You're working, the antidote. So the I becomes less powerful. Then automatically less attachment, less aversion, then less ignorance. And these are the way to, work and dent your, these causes of suffering. So it works that way. And many people who do these practice can truly benefit out of it. So it will be very good if you can do this practice. Okay. So, but here now, just now we follow the same. First do refuge, bodhicitta, uh, and then a short session of the breathing shamatha, very important. And then as we are able to have a calm, abiding state of mind, then in that state of mind, then we develop this, uh, thought of loving kindness, compassion. Okay, bodhicitta. So now we first just relax for a while. Now we say the refuge and bodhicitta. Sangji, Chudang, Soji, Chonam, Changju, Bardo, Dane, Chabsuj, Dagi, Jinso, Jibi, Sonamji, Drola, Pinchir, Sangji, Drubara, Shu, Sangji, Chudang, Soji, Chonam, Changju, Bardo, Dane, Chabsuj, Dagi, Jinso, Jibi, Sonamji, Drola, Pinchir, Sangji, Drubara, Shu, 상지, 추동, 소지, 초남, 장주, 바도, 다니, 잡수지, 나기, 진소, 지배, 서남지, 로라, 펜실, 상지, 루바라쇼. Now we just do a short breathing shamatha meditation. We just maintain awareness on the breath going in and out. And as I said, any thought arise, it is okay. No need to block the thought, but don't get carried away by the thought. Maintain awareness on the breath going in and out. And if you get carried away by the thought, it is okay. When you recognize that you are carried away, that means you are back to your awareness. So continue to maintain this awareness, relying on this breath. Now gradually maintaining this calm, abiding state of mind, then we meditate or we develop the thought of loving kindness, which is I wish, like how I wish to be happy and be with the causes of the happiness. In the same way, sincerely wishing that may all sentient beings be always happy and with the causes of happiness. As all sentient beings like yourself wish to be happy and wish to be free from suffering. Now generate the thought of compassion, which is like how I wish to be free from sufferings and the causes of sufferings. May all sentient beings be free from sufferings and the causes of sufferings, as all beings like yourself wish to be free from suffering and wish to be happy. So genuinely feel this, genuinely mean this with sincerity, like how one wishes happiness and wishes to be free from suffering oneself. No beings wish to be unhappy and suffering. All beings, right from the smallest being to the highest being, all wish to be happy. But because of ignorance, don't know how to create the cause of happiness. All wish to be free from suffering, but always through ignorance creating the cause of suffering. So genuinely wish, like how for yourself, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. And genuinely wish that may all sentient beings attain the complete realization, the enlightenment through which one can completely be free from all limitations. So for that purpose, may I realize my innate potential, the primordial wisdom, to benefit all sentient beings to realize their primordial wisdom, their limitless potential. Okay, now just maintaining this state of meditation, just relax for a while. And then we do a short dedication of the same Sonam De Thamche Zikwanyi. Sonam De Thamche Zikwanyi, Thomne Nyebe Danam Phamje Chega Naji Balak Chubai, Sipe Chole Doa Doa Shu. And just rest for a while. Okay, so now with this, then the short meditation practice of the second teaching of the Gampopa is concluded. And as I said, then the Tonglen practice also one can do. Yeah. So today, because of time, we cannot do that.